The Indian football team getting the chance to participate in the 2023 Asian Games should have actually been a cause of major joy for football fans around the country, because it was after a long and concerted fan campaign that the team was actually allowed to take part, because originally the football team did not meet the criteria of being a top 10 ranked or top 8 ranked team within Asia, and were therefore not allowed to go as per Sporting Ministry as well as Sports Authority of India guidelines. However, a big fan movement on social media led to, let's say, the government changing their mind and allowing the team to go. But after that cropped up a new problem, the debate of club versus country, and the clubs holding firm in the face of what could be said was intense pressure from not just the federation but even the national team's head coach Igor Stimac. However, what eventually happened was that the clubs won out. What you are seeing now in terms of the squad that will be going to the Asian Games is a very, very different squad than the one that was originally named. And coach Igor Stimac is not a happy man about it at all. In fact, during a recent press interaction which took place, he took plenty of shots, not just at the AIFF, who let's remind you are his employers, but also the ISL, and was bemoaning plenty of things whilst trying to give out a message of togetherness and the need for fight from the team. Let's take a look at some of the more interesting things he said, starting with what was a pretty clear and obvious dig at the Indian Super League. He said, if I knew that certain elements will stop us from going with the best possible team, I would have picked all the players from the I-League and request to trade with them for 2 months. Now, the 2 months line is, of course, a reference to the fact that Stimac wanted a 2-month or month-long camp with the players to ensure that they would foster togetherness, get familiar with the style of play that he expects from the team, all of these things. Of course, considering the fact that the domestic season will be starting, it was always not practical to expect a 2-month cycle, but what they ended up getting instead was an absolute hodgepodge, because there was no agreement on which team would end up going, leading to plenty of confusion. Even recently, when the squad was re-announced, there was plenty of confusion. So you can understand where it is his frustration comes from, and the certain elements line definitely does feel like a very not so subtle dig at the ISL as well as the people who own and run them, FSDL, or Football Sports Development Limited. This in fact extended further. He was in a very combative mood during this press interaction, and he also had a little something to say about not just them but his employers, the AIFF, as well. When he was questioned about what team morale looks like in the squad right now, he said, which team and what morale? From a point of view of asking for a training camp, it has come to a point where we need to be happy with getting the players before kickoff. It's a disservice to the national team. A disservice to the national team. Which team? What morale? Again, clearly this is a man who's in no mood to be taking any prisoners, and truth be told, you can understand his frustration to some degree, even whilst understanding that maybe a lot of the demands that he was making weren't that valid. That being said, there could have been a bit more of a meeting in the middle, even though I will agree that the ISL clubs did nothing wrong by standing their ground. They were under no obligation to release the players and therefore chose not to, which does of course beg the question, and we've done videos on this, as to whether or not this was well planned or poorly planned by the federation, thus putting their head coach in the rather unusual spot where he had to basically call out his own employees as well as the nation's national league. That being said, he's still looking to try and put things behind him, although in this press conference he referenced current issues a lot, but with a defiant message, he's asked his players to look forward and not dwell on the past. He's saying, there's no reason to look back now. It's time to focus on what can be done within our power to open the tournament with a good fight. We cannot expect more. Now, truth be told, India's group isn't that tough a group. They have China, Bangladesh and Myanmar. Now, the opening match is arguably the toughest because they'll be taking on China, who are a pretty strong team, but who will also have the home advantage. Thereafter, wins against Bangladesh and Myanmar do seem realistic and within the realms of possibility, which means that there could be every chance that they make it to the knockouts. But the China test, well, that will be a real barometer of what exactly this cobbled together team that Stimac has been given can do in the Asian Games. Now, most fans were smart enough to understand that if India were to have any chance of being in medal contention, they would have needed to take their strongest available squad. And strongest available squad doesn't mean all international players, because the Asian Games is an under-23 tournament whereby you're only allowed 3 players who are above that age. India at this point have only 2 players who are above that age in Sunil Chhetri, the skipper, as well as Sandesh Jhingan. Unfortunately, even the under-23 lot that India have taken is not their strongest, and that is because most of their best young players will be tied with their ISL sides. Now, it does of course trigger, let's say, plenty of debates about club versus country, what's good for the nation might not necessarily be good for the clubs, but at the end of the day, it's a decision that has been taken. And while Stimac's angst is very understandable, he himself perhaps put it best when he said that it's time to focus on the task at hand, look to put up a good fight, because that's all we can really do, and I wholeheartedly agree with him there. However, that's just how I feel about it. What do you guys think? You can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the SportsTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go right ahead and check out some other videos that we've done. For now though, from my side, it's goodbye.